Howdy, howdy, howdy. We're just gonna hop right on into it. We're stealing images of toads from the internet and putting them into a paint document, like the pirates we are. In today's episode, we will be tattooing a Soju frog on another person. I have tattooed myself many times. I have tattooed others few times. Today we will be tattooing my significant other. The reason it is a Soju logo is that little dog right there. Their name is Soju. There you go. Now you're all caught up. I started out my tattooing career hand making stencils. I've been doing this for a few years now, and through the course of uploading to YouTube and monetizing my page, I have been able to afford this cool little like stencil maker. So thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching my videos. And like hitting the thumbs up and doing the S. It makes me cringe watching YouTube videos when they're like, like and subscribe. So a big topic of today's video is going to be quality of materials. Here's one example. I printed out these stencil sheets on two separate qualities of printer paper. One's going to be the budget one, and one's going to be a brand name one. Pretty easy to tell the difference just from those like ashy flakes and the black ink on that carbon paper. Obviously, you want a stencil that's going to be as sharp as possible, so we are not even using that guy. By the way, those little black flakes lived all over my desk for like a week, and I kept going to work and seeing all like the little carbon paper spots all over me. Hi, my name's Mads. Welcome to my Stick and Poke channel. Usually I have these very stagnant, time-lapse sort of videos, and they just look like this. But this time I borrowed a small point and shoot, and I'm gonna try to film it a little bit differently. We're gonna have some redundant footage because of that. I hope you don't mind. But what's nice is because I have a second person involved in this particular project, we're gonna have some alternative shots, which will be useful. I also want to include some of the sound of the stick and pokes, which will be very nice. We're gonna do that for this practice sheet, as well as for the actual skin pokes that we'll be doing halfway through this video. So this is my general process for getting my stencils. I hoard the ones I haven't used. I don't like wasting the carbon transfer sheet, so I make sure I have a full flash sheet before I start printing with them. What we're going to do is use some of that quality paper. You pull out that protective center onion sheet. You pull off the back sheet of paper, and then you insert your carbon paper black to black. So you want that blue material face down, or what is going to be your stencil paper face up. This took me a really long time to figure out, and I will try to make a more cohesive video in the future. But yeah, black to black when it comes to your carbon paper and your flash sheet. I like to use these little lines on my machine to make sure that the carbon paper is in the machine straight. If it's not, it might get gunked up and it's gonna like crumple up inside the machine and ruin your sheet. And then we go, like I said a bunch of times already, black to black, ink to ink. That's how you want to input these into the machine. And yeah, it's a cheap machine. It doesn't sound great. Here we go is the same footage from another angle because I'm filming with my right hand. It's very exciting stuff. What we are doing right now is practicing the tattoo that we're going to do later, something I highly suggest for everyone watching this video who wants to do tattoos. Do the exact, I know it sounds boring, I know your ADD doesn't want you to do that, but yes, also ignore me flailing with that carbon sheet there. That was very cringy. I know it sounds boring, but if you're serious about this, get some practice skin, and you're gonna go practice the exact tattoo, exactly how you're gonna do it on the person. Why? I have some tattoos on myself where I was solid about like the line work, but I didn't know how I was gonna shade it or color it or anything in the future, and I just put it down. And now I have tattoos I don't know how to finish because I never figured it out. You want to figure this out before you start the tattoo. So here's my process of practicing. Now, it's good to be sanitary all of the time. It's very important to treat all practice tattooing just like you would regular tattooing. And I didn't start doing that until this point. The reason that I put the gloves on at this point specifically is because you want to practice doing stencil stuff with gloves on. You want to know what it feels like through gloves. You need stencil stuff to dry a little bit and get tacky. Sometimes you even do 2 layers, which is what I ended up doing on skin later. So let that dry, get distracted. This is another project I'm doing. It was a mummy duck. Don't worry about it. So I let that dry for 45 seconds to a minute and then press on that stencil. Very satisfying part, the stencil peel. Another factor with making stencils is if you've got any writing or if the direction of your tattoo matters, making sure they're not mirrored. Here was my supervisor. A lot of people might worry that I am unsupervised in my tattooing journey, but not to fear. Aki is here. So the point of today's tattoo was Soju's tattoo. I will let you know. I don't know if it will be recorded or anything, but because I tattooed a Soju tattoo on my partner, he has earned a revenge tattoo, which will most likely be an Aki tattoo. This is Aki. The word Aki means like sparkle, but it also means autumn. And so he's probably going to put a red maple leaf on me, depending on if he's comfortable with that. But in exchange for me torturing him for 2 hours, as I do later in this video, he's going to tattoo like the equivalent on me, which is, I don't know, cute. It's cruel. I don't know. That's what's happening. Here's how I set up my practice station. Again, try to practice good habits, be sanitary, open your ink bottles with caps and stuff. Right now I'm going to let you listen to the pokes. Alright, so using this camera, we do get a little more footage of what the pokes sound like up close. A lot of times I've had people ask, like, how do you know if you're going too deep? And a nice thing about practice skin, although there are no layers to practice skin and it is not the same experience as tattooing skin, it is nice to sort of have this tactile sort of feedback on how your tattooing is going. I highly suggest, even if you want to get into machine tattooing, to do this to some degree because it will help you learn the depth of the skin. Another part about recording this sound is we use 2 different brands of needles, and I can hear the difference between the 2, but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear the difference over this camera. So I have put which needle I'm using at which time if you want to like hop around and compare the quality of needles. Now, why does the quality of needles matter? I've found over the years that I think my needles get dull within a few minutes, like very quickly. I used to think I had material gunking up my needles, like there was too much tattoo balm or soap or something in between the needles. But I don't have that problem with higher quality needles. So it took me a few years to figure out, but honestly going with a brand name is going to give you a better experience with tattooing. This one right now is a budget brand. We're going to switch it out for a brand name, which is just a little bit more expensive for the box of them. I'll go over prices at the end of the video. We're going to still be tattooing at Mach speed for just a minute, trying to fill it in a little bit. Tattooing fake skin feels like it goes really slow. Maybe, again, quality. The quality of the skin might not be the best. It is very hard to take. I've read online a lot of other people say that. But we're going to listen to this needle. So this brand feels a lot nicer. It feels like it goes in a lot cleaner than the other one does, but it also has a deeper tone to the sound of it. It's a little bit more of like a pop rather than a flicking sound. I hope that makes sense. Did I mention I'm an amateur and self-taught? Usually I'm really heavy-handed with that at the beginning of my videos. Hi, I don't know what I'm doing. Welcome. We're already 10 minutes into this video and now I'm letting you know. Do not do what I do. But in case you do, be clean about it. Alright? Alright. Alright, one last side tangent before we get to what you came here for. I have done many practice sheets of skin. You usually let your stencil stuff dry stencil stuff. You let the stencil itself dry for 15 to 20 minutes on skin just to make sure it doesn't like vanish in your first wipe. You can also just let it dry for however long you want on fake skin, but then it stays forever. So if you've ever just put stencil stuff on and like not used that stencil that day and you've let it dry for like a week, it just doesn't come off. And I've tried all kinds of methods, soaps and stuff to try to clean it off, but today we are trying a different method that I read about online, which is putting paper towels on top of the fake skin and then putting bleach on it. So I'm doing a 1-to-1 bleach ratio approximately. That looks a little bit light. And I'm actually piling all of these fake skins up together. Spoilers, it doesn't really make a huge difference, and I think that might be because of how I layered these up. I ended up putting more bleach in later, so it was a little bit stronger of a ratio, and I let it soak overnight. The next day when I went to clean it out, it disintegrated paper towels all over the place. Hey guys, I'm not saying this is the way you should do this. I'm just letting you know what I'm up to. So, attempt 1 was kind of a fail. I think if I had maybe spread these out a little bit more, given them some space, put just pure bleach on there, you know, maybe it would have cleaned them off. And the only reason I'm doing this experiment, like, because these are just practice skins, it would be great to have like my professional flash sheet of my art on a skin and be able to hand it to someone and be like, literally, this is the tattoo I can give you. Anyway, here's what you came here for. I'm gonna start tattooing another person now. But where? Oh yeah, I do have to set up. I will be honest, setting up my station took longer than tattooing. I never really time. I time how long it takes me to tattoo, but I don't time the setup. I think it might have taken me 2.5, 3 hours to get ready. As you can see, I am a creature of chaos. I am feral, and I live in a little goblin horde. I'm like a dragon for stuff, and I just most of it's hobby supplies, so I just live in this pile of hobbies. This is not sanitary. As I state in every single other video I've done, you should not be tattooing yourself at home. This is not sanitary. So every time I do tattoo myself, I make this solution of green soap to distilled water for cleaning throughout the process, and then I wipe down everything in rubbing alcohol, something like in the high 80s, 90s. You don't need pure rubbing alcohol because that evaporates too quickly, and then you wrap everything in saran wrap. Even though you've cleaned the outside surface with rubbing alcohol, it could have scratches and like stuff in the sticker that you don't know is there. I use brand new fresh paper towels out of the container. I pull them apart with gloves on, sanitize my whole station, and I'll also put some towels down just to make sure everything's nice and clean. And also, I have to set up the lights and the camera, which takes some time. That one I don't sanitize because that's for my victim. Anyway, we are grabbing our needles. We're doing 2 in the Beyond. Those are going to be the ones that have the grips. And then we're doing 1 in the Evolve. The Beyond are the slightly cheaper ones, and the Evolve are the slightly nicer needles. And we're going to see if the victim can tell the difference between the two. Pardon me, enunciation is not my strong suit today. So here we are using some kebab sticks, some medical tape, and some flexi tape to make a tattoo needle grip. If you have textured gloves, you can just hold the needle as is. I personally find it more comfortable to make it a little bit closer to the width of a pencil. And make sure, I don't record it in this particular video, but I have in previous ones. Make sure when you dispose of these at the end of your tattooing adventures, put them in a thick plastic container, such as a laundry detergent container, and write on it that it has sharps inside of it. They do sell sharps containers, like little medical sharps containers. If you want to be professional, go that route. But if you're just doing this at home, I do not expect you to buy a special receptacle. Just whatever you do, do not throw these straight into the trash. That is messed up. Don't be messed up. Our 2 needles, the blue ones are going to be a round liner. Those are going to be like a sharper line. And then the purple gripped one is a shader that also has 14 needles on it in comparison with 9 on the other one. So it'll be a lot bigger. The purple I originally made to fill in the light blue later on, but we kind of end up using a bunch of different needles in this process. We'll get there. We put the stencil down twice. The first time didn't work out. At first I tried to like hand trace a straight line down his arm and it was messy, so we removed that. Then we tried to make a stencil, and I was so worried about having it go in a straight line with his other tattoos. It just ended up being way too close to his other tattoos. If you want to remove a stencil, you have to take it off immediately. The more time you spend letting it dry, like the more it's gonna stay. The victim originally wanted the smaller toad, but because I just already used that stencil, we grabbed the next biggest one and threw it down. And we were both relatively happy with the placement. It's fairly lined up with his other tattoos. It's spaced about an equal amount. So happy enough with it. We let it dry for about 20 minutes or so while I finish setting up. I get all my inks ready, and then we will begin poking. Besides the needles, another thing that we're using that I'll show at the end of the video. Whenever I tattoo myself, I use that green solution that I showed you earlier. But I also have these tattoo wipes that I just kind of impulsively bought, and I always forget about them to use them on myself. But the victim ended up pointing out that they are way, way more comfortable. It's just way softer material to wipe with rather than just the softest store brand paper towels. We end up doing a few passes. We take an hour and we do, I think, 4 passes on the lining. And think about it. We end up taking a little bit of a break, like a 20-minute break, and then we come back, go over the liner a little bit more, and put in the secondary color. I was nervous about these colors matching the logo, and in the weirdest way it ended up working out, as you will see in a moment. So it is nice working on another person when you don't have to do yoga. If you've watched any of my other videos, I've had to bend myself in weird pretzel shapes in order to like reach weird parts of my leg. And this has been really nice, just bent over like a shrimp, as a tattoo person, tattooist should be. I was about to say tattoo artist, but that's a stretch. Anyways, here's some close-ups. So the victim took some close-ups for me because it's not sanitary for me to be touching the cameras while I am filming, so I usually just set up one camera and leave it to the best of my ability. Then we did an experiment where we opened brand new fresh needles. So this one's going to be the budget one, and they don't have grips or anything. I'm just poking straight. So this one's the 9 round of the like budget brand. Yeah, I'm just gonna switch back to the 7 real quick.
That's ouchy.
Interesting. Alright, I don't know what that train sound in the background was of the second video. It's probably the dog, like, on quantum panting mode, which she's very excited to nap sometimes, but it straight up sounds like there's a train ready to take off right next to me. So the sound of those 2 pokes was very similar. You almost hear a little bit more of the flick on the first one. I think maybe the quality of the metal is not as good, and so there's a little bit of a flicky flick noise. We ended up, I actually didn't successfully turn the camera on for the first part of this time lapse, but we spent another little less than an hour going over just the light ink, and I was nervous about it because I'm like, I lost my stencil. I should have put this part down earlier, but I have the picture underneath my ink caps, and it's just like a little S shape. It's not a big deal, so I just kind of free-handed it in, because that's what you do when you're a tattoo person. So, tattoo needles. Go with the ones that are brand name. If it's got like an extra letter at the beginning of the, code. Hey, look, those are about to expire. Anyway, if it's got a little extra like brand name, maybe go with that one. Just like go with the ones that are better quality. When it comes to the wipes, I have always made the solution, but using these wipeouts on another person was great. So if you're going to be doing a crap ton of tattoos on yourself, just go with the green soap. It's a better investment in the long run. But like if you're tattooing another person or whatever, for the convenience and for how comfortable it is for the user, I like these wipes a lot. Now what we're going to do is torture the victim one last time. What? It sting.
Stinky.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like, oh, stinky. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I proceed to smear way too much tattoo balm on this tattoo. Don't do that. They need to breathe a little bit. But here we go. My first completed tattoo on another person. Thank you to the victim. I will give you some feedback in the next video about how it's healed. See ya!